Hello, welcome to our Decan Walk, a creative collaboration between two Aquarian artists on opposite sides of the world. Anthony, or Ant, is in Ireland, and I'm Leanne, or Lee, and I'm in Aotearoa, New Zealand. Together, we're blending graphite and light, shadow and soul, to explore each tarot decan through exquisite hand-drawn art and radiant LightSong mandalas. Our journey begins with the Two of Wands, ruled by Mars and drawn from the moment the Sun entered this year in 2025. With every step, we share our love of astrology and tarot as tools for soul growth and self-discovery. And for each card, we're going to choose a song that captures its essence. We'll be inviting you to do the same. Join us in this bold, beautiful fusion of form, frequency, and feeling. This episode, we're going to cover three things. We're going to talk about this project, the Decan Walk, and creating tarot and how it came about. We're also going to talk about the artworks that we've created for this card, this decan. And then last but not least, we're going to talk about our song choices. So let's kick off with this project and how it came about. So our journey begins when Ant and I met. We both were part of a forum, and Ant wrote his introduction, which really caught my eye. He talked about, as part of his introduction, he talked about we need to learn to live in the world of autistic or those who are on the spectrum, not the other way around. Now, I'm kind of paraphrasing what he wrote because I'm sure he actually wrote something that was a lot more eloquent than what I just said, but you get the gist. And that really drew me because I had just finished binge listening or binge watching, whichever way you want to think about it, listening to the telepathy tapes. And for those of you not familiar, the telepathy tapes is an experience with non-verbal autistic people and looking at their telepathic abilities. But it doesn't just stop at telepathy, it goes beyond that. And I found it really validating for my own worldview, where I really believe that it's not even a belief. It's like, for me, it's fact. What we have physically manifested is only a small portion of the full reality. And what we can't see is actually more the world that is real than what we can see. And what we can see is only a tiny slice. My response was along these lines, and I actually said to him, oh wow, I agree with you 100%, and actually what I do is I paint the light we can't see. I create digital soul portraits that I call light songs. And now I'm going to hand over to Ant, where he can talk about his response to my response to his introduction.
It was refreshing to meet somebody who sees the aspect that I see, and seeing your art that is produced through mandalas and all this beautiful energy that's right in front of your face with color and distinction and meaning blew me away. Who's this woman is what I thought. I need some of her art. I need to understand her art. It was so unique. The fact that my introduction on that forum was about autism, that was actually linked to a charity that I'm looking to set up. I don't see any great change in the world when it comes to autism. There's not a great level of understanding. We live in a world where we believe that autistic people will have to adjust to live with us. when it's completely upside down in the wrong way. We truly need to learn from autistic individuals who have such a creative connection with spirit, with source energy, so many abilities that people like myself work my ass off throughout my life to achieve these things that autistic people come in with naturally. It's a totally, it's a perception of this world that for people to realize that autism isn't a problem. It's not a disease, it's not a malfunction, it's not a disability, it's an ability, an ability. We are disabled from even understanding where their perspective is and where their energy is, and why they even came in as autistic souls. They came in as an autistic souls purely to teach mankind that there is another way, purely to teach mankind how to accept, how to love, how to perceive things unconditionally. So many levels, so many levels. And so when we met Leanne, it was like a burst of energy, wasn't it? It was like an artistic flare up, that something happened between us. It was like an atom going off, and your work certainly inspired me. The next minute we're creating together and bringing our passions and our ideas and our own personal perspectives into play, and it kind of just gels and it works. Finding you as an artist was and as a friend was special to me, and I know this journey we're embarking on is going to be very special, very unique, potentially life-changing, and that excites me, for people to understand certain connections within the universe, how the tarot connects with our lives, how astrology connects with our lives, how color, vibration, and frequency and numbers all integrate into energy. It was very divinely led, this project that we're about to embark on, and it's divinely protected, which is a lovely notion moving forward.
When you responded to my response about my light songs, I think you'll probably remember it's like, oh wow, it's very rare that someone understands my work implicitly, and very rare that I feel so seen, or I feel that my work is so seen. And I made that comment, and then we had so much to talk about that we ended up hopping on Zoom, and our first Zoom was like 5 hours worth. And then the second Zoom, I think that's where we discovered that we both have a love for tarot. I can't even remember what the comment was that you made, but you made some comment about wanting to do a tarot deck, and from there it was like, yep, all in. I know that you've wanted to do a tarot deck for many years, and I first had the notion of doing either a tarot, or it was more oracle deck actually. I wasn't as ambitious as wanting to do a tarot deck, but I certainly had thought about collaborating with someone to do an oracle deck with my LightSong work, and that was about 4 years ago. That first gem of an idea to do an oracle deck happened. So yes, when you mentioned tarot, and I'm like, ooh, yes, yes. And looking at your artwork, equally, I was like blown away by your exquisite detail of your graphite work. Really, it's got a living energy about it. That it's like you can feel the water, that image of the person's eye. You can actually feel the wetness in that image. That's how this project came about. And I connected on our joint understanding and appreciation for the world we can't see. So now I'm going to share my screen because I've got some imagery to share. This is still a work in progress. The work on the left, the work on the right is a LightSong mandala. We're both Aquarians. Ant is a commission-based artist, as am I. So we both do unique portraiture. And, you know, Ant's portraiture is probably more, it's unique, but probably more conventional than mine, because most people would look at my mandalas and not feel that that was a portrait, but it is. It's a digital soul portrait. And bringing them together into this tarot offering just seemed like a no-brainer, because, as it says, it's the human, it's the stars, it's the shadow, it's the soul, it's the graphite, and it's the light, all together in one. These are our placements for those astrology people out there and people that might be curious. So we both have an Aquarian sun, we both have an Aquarian Mercury, and Ant has an Aquarian midheaven, and I have an Aquarian rising. So there's, 6 sets of waves in this project. And we also have a third person that will be joining us, Tia. And Tia is a Libran sun, so another dose of air coming in. And we will introduce her in the next episode. For this episode, it's just Ant and I. Okay, Ant, here's where we talk about our art. So I'm going to hand over to you.
This is a work in progress. It shall be finished by the end of the week. You see a guy holding the world in a different way than in a traditional manner. And I wanted it done as in he is literally embracing the planet Earth, as opposed to holding it. The reason being that the world is his, and it's a big world, and it's a world bigger and has more aspects to it, if you like, layers to it than the average human is aware of. And that was kind of a reflection that I wanted to portray it from that angle. Now, the Earth itself, the globe, I've actually used an image of the Earth that isn't a traditional image that we see. We usually see the map of Europe or the Americas or Asia, etc. But this part of the world is really seen as a static image, and I wanted to incorporate New Zealand in there to demonstrate on a personal level between me and you that this is where you are at the moment. So the wands themselves are based off an Irish design of the shillelagh. That's where the inspiration of this particular wand comes from. I'm actually residing in Ireland at the moment, and it's kind of a relationship between Ireland and the other side of the world, New Zealand, and I wanted to reflect the polar energy, if you like. It worked for me, and once I got that, I moved on to other things about the drawing. And if you see behind the Germia, there is a white line, and that's actually a passageway that leads into the position that he's in, and it comes all the way from the mountains all the way to where he is. And this particular card is all about contemplation of moving forward, having the gusto to move forward, having the perspective needed to move forward into challenges and growth in your life in various manners. But for me, it's really a card of the beginnings of awakening to self. As you can see, he's holding one wand, and the other is still attached to the wall, and that resembles the perspective of the journey out, that there is something else out. There is more than what he has always believed there was, let's say. And that's kind of reflected in the book in front of him, which is Cosmic History, which is a very niche subject, which is getting even more popular these days as perspective change and energy shifts. But cosmic history is such a wide, vast subject and topic. And this is something that he's taken on board himself and studied and learned and understood that there is far more to us than the existence that we perceive to be in. And with that knowledge that he's given to himself, it has opened up other aspects of his energy, his soul growth, his frequency, his vibration, which now allows him to move forward in the direction of the unknown. Because let's face it, it is unknown. The flowers at the side, you have 2 white lilies and 2 red roses, which in the traditional tarot depict from the peace lilies, light, understanding, enlightenment, a new knowing, a new way. With the 2 roses combined, they represent the power and the gusto and that Mars energy, if you like, that Aryan energy of standing in your power, empowerment, and moving forward. And with the 4 flowers combined, it symbolizes an unseen energy that allows us to move forward in trust in the unknown, the release in the surrender into the soul, if you like, surrender into the universe, into source, and trusting that everything from here forward is for purpose. Anything that happens, whether you perceive it negatively, whether you perceive it positively, it's all, there's nothing that happens to us, it happens for us. And the guy on this journey understands this. But at the moment if you see that he's got 1 foot in and 1 foot out. So that's resembling the shall I, can I, can't I? Although he has the gusto and the everything he needs to go forward and do exactly what he desires, he's still in contemplation. But not for long, you know. He's sitting with himself and he's going within, as we must do to come out the other end, if you like. The mountain range itself, on this mountain range will be a carved out chalk figure. It's an ancient druid one that is on the borders of Brighton, I believe. And it's a druid man holding 2 stakes. And I want to plant that in the back on the hillside to represent that over there is where you hold the 2. So move forward and go over there. So holding the 2 literally is a representative, it represents that you're midway of achieving the 3 of Wands, getting to the energy of the 3 of Wands, if you like. Up here in the top left, we have Mars. I really wanted to put Mars in there. I debated it as, yeah, can I put Mars in with the moon up in the right hand corner? Does it work? You know, is it natural? Well, what is natural? You know, it's a depiction and it sits very well. And I love the aspect that Mars sits by the moon. And he's literally connecting with that Mars energy, that Aryan kind of fire and gusto. Now, you'll see a little tattoo on his left arm of the Aries sign there, which depicts the Aries energy also. And yeah, as I say, it's unfinished. It will be finished by the end of the week. But even at this stage, you kind of get the idea of where I'm going with this card. And with your artwork reflecting the same energy in a different way and then collaborating and bringing them together, they work absolutely perfectly in alignment. I love the Two of Wands. I think it's, to me personally, it's the one card that depicts, okay, it's go time. Let's do this. Let's do this. And it's the one card more so that depicts the energy of, this is your opportunity. This is your opportunity to see. This is your opportunity to feel something different than the belief system you have. The belief system that society ingrained you in, religion indoctrinated you in, etc., etc. This is solo. This is connecting with self. This is your beliefs, your inner beliefs, your innate understanding, which grows and grows the further you go on your journey. And yeah, I love this card. I love this card. And for it to be the first card that I designed it in a rush, it was lovely to get my energy going on the future of the deck, because I can only go forward from here, and I'll be rolling with the energy of the decans, and the cards are just going to be, oh, yeah, very exciting. Very exciting.
So I have a question. What is a shillelagh?
All right, so a shillelagh is a good question. Yeah, people always assume that everyone knows this. It's Irish. What do you not know about the Irish, right? So a shillelagh is an ancient fighting stick, warrior stick, if you like, and it has a very. It doesn't resemble the shillelagh as in a shillelagh looks. This is a representation, but traditionally a shillelagh will come up and have a big bulkhead, and I believe, I may be corrected on this, I believe they used to carve them out of the blackthorn, which is a real hardy wood, you know, used back in the day to beat the head off anyone. Yeah, basically protect your land and prop you up when you're drunk. Yeah.
So I've got a vision of a shillelagh being like almost like very knuckly and knotty at the head end of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can really wallop someone with it.
You hit with the shillelagh, you're not getting up, you know? Yeah. Absolutely.
Knock the shillelagh out of you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Anne. I love the navigation and exploration of your artwork that you've just shared. It's, yeah, wonderful. And I already said to you, you know, that when I first saw this, even the version before this, and I said, thank you for putting New Zealand on the map, because usually it's left off. Yeah. Okay. And now we're going to move to the LightSong part of the Two of Wands. Light songs I create from the heart of the chart. There is geometry that sits at the center of an astrology chart. This is just a preview of the light song, which I will go into the detail of in a minute after I talk about the tarot and astrology and where they meet, and to give a bit more information about decans, what a decan is, and therefore what a decan walk is, which is this is our first step in a decan walk. On the outside is the zodiac wheel, and you'll see that I've carved a little segment here with the dates 20th of March to the 30th of March, 10 days, 1 decade. In the tradition of tarot and astrology, the decans were used to refer to the stars, and the decade was actually the word used for 10 days, whereas now we use that word for 10 years. It used to be used for 10 days. And now we use the word decan to refer to that 10-day slice. On the outside, we have the zodiac wheel, and this is the glyph for Aries, which looks like a ram's head. And then we've got Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, and so on around the wheel. The zodiac was actually the calendar, way back before we had watches and clocks and everything else, the zodiac or the stars in the sky was the way we told time. And in the middle of the zodiac wheel, or the wheel of time, I've put the 3 circles to represent the tarot. On the outside, the outer ring, the yellow ring, is the minor arcana. There are 40 cards for the minor arcana. 36 of those cards, if we take the aces out, so the 40 minor arcana are actually like playing cards, the 4 suits. So you have ace to 9 gives you 10 cards. And we take the aces out to leave us with 36. That gives us 36 10-day slices that makes up the 360 degrees of the wheel of time. In the middle circle, where I've actually put overlapping 16 stars to represent us, actually. So when you look at a 5-pointed star, a 5-pointed star looks like a person with their arms out and their legs spread out, and so that as a star. Those 16 stars represent what are called the court cards, the king, the queen, the prince and the princess, or the page and the knight. Different tarot decks will have different court cards. Some have a prince and a princess, and others have a knight and a page. We're going to go with a prince and a princess because it's like yin and yang energy. It's the masculine and the feminine, the older and the younger, masculine and feminine. These 16 are archetypes. And Carl Jung was known to be very much into alchemy and astrology. And although it's never been published as such, the Myers-Briggs personality types are pretty much these 16 archetypes from astrology and tarot. And these are the ways that we experience or embody our personalities at different points in time, and how we process life through our bodies and our experience of the world. And on the very inside, the inner circle, is the soul, the inner soul experience, and that's encapsulated in the major arcana. It's the hero's journey that starts with the 0 card, which is the fool about to step off the cliff with his little dog and go on an adventure. And then it goes all the way to the end of that hero's journey, which is the world, isn't it? Just to recap, this is about our experience of life, our experience of the inner world and the outer world. So the minor arcana is the movement of the earth around the sun and our everyday world. The middle circle is how we embody our archetypes. Different times in our lives, we may embody different personalities within those 16. And then on the inside is how our soul grows. It's our soul journey and our inner relating. And that is the tarot. The tarot is much deeper than what it appears. It's not just a parlor trick kind of game. It's very deep. It's a really meaningful and deep tool to learn about yourself and to use as a tool to get in touch with yourself, both on the mundane level and on the soul level.
Everybody, every human being on this planet, no exceptions, is going through the motions of this cycle of tarot cycle, if you like, astrological cycle combined. The way the decans are portrayed, the way you portray them, should I say, is really what captures me into this new understanding of tarot combined with astrology. I think it's amazing in that, and for the first time recently, I'm seeing the process of what I went through literally in front of me in tarot and astrology, and seeing how, okay, this is a new way. This could be used as such a good method if understood, of understanding the soul's journey in this three-dimensional dynamic, if you like, this three-dimensional perception that we have. We look outwards for answers. We look outwards for everything, for our own love, for our own worth. We exteriorize it when it's all interior. It's all inside. We have the answer to everything. We are the answer to everything. And in understanding that we're all connected, yet are fragments of that wholeness, that oneness.
I'm taking this from a book that I have that's called Tarot and Astrology by Corinne Kenner. And she talks about the dawn of modern tarot and astrology, which I think is quite helpful to touch on that for the history of tarot. Just very quickly, I'm just going to read this. Modern tarot was born in the late 1800s when a London group of mystics and philosophers founded the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. Together they attempted to unify several branches of metaphysics, including astrology, numerology, and Kabbalah, and they consolidated their theories in a deck of tarot cards. The group's tarot manual, MacGregor Mather's book T, described the cards' astrological, Kabbalistic, elemental, and spiritual attributes. The guide also included a method for associating all 78 cards with the zodiac. In 1909, Arthur Edward Waite and Pamela Coleman Smith designed their own version of the Golden Dawn Tarot deck. The result, popularly known as the Rider-Waite Tarot, is the best-selling tarot deck in the world. Rider was actually the publisher. So most will usually refer to the Waite deck as the Smith-Waite or the Waite-Smith deck, acknowledging Pamela Coleman Smith, who was the illustrator. The Smith-Waite deck is the most used. Most people are familiar with the Smith-Waite deck. While we're on the subject of tarot and zodiac, our Decan Walk is going to be the 36 cards that are the minor arcana. The major arcana, each card relates to either a planet or a sign. For example, we have for the first decan, that is the Two of Wands, we have Mars is the ruling planet of Aries, and Mars is the Tower card. So the Tower card in the major arcana is Mars, and Aries is the Empress. So we have two majors that go with the minor decan card, the Two of Wands. Those two majors are associated with the Two of Wands. There we're going to go on to the LightSong. This is an astrology chart, and it's the astrology chart for when the Sun reached 0 degrees Aries this year. So the 20th of March 2025 is when the Sun reached 0 degrees Aries. It is the vernal equinox or the spring equinox, and in the northern hemisphere, where Western tropical astrology comes from, this was the beginning of the year. This was the beginning of spring. This is when the wheel gets kicked into motion. So we need the fire of Aries, the 0 degree fire of Aries, to kick that wheel with Mars's help. This is the chart, and this is the conversations in light between. So this is the Mars vibration. So Mars was talking to Saturn. So Saturn is here. So I've highlighted the 3 main participants in the light conversations that were going on with Mars. So Mars is up here, and he was in conversation with this line of light here. It's in color because that is how we perceive light here on Earth. And he was in conversation with Chiron. Chiron is known as the wounded healer. Chiron was in Aries. And he was also in conversation with Saturn in Pisces. And then Chiron and Saturn were also in conversation with one another. And these pools of light are where you can see there's a whole parade of planets down here in the Aries and Pisces part of the chart. So these pools of light are where planets are together and they create, well, this is how I interpret it, they create like a pool of light with their being together. This is the planetary light of the conversations that Mars was having at the spring equinox in the northern hemisphere. It was the autumn equinox here in the southern hemisphere. I also look at the symbology when I look at the astrology chart, and they're Sabian symbols, one for each of the 360 degrees, and it's an evocative image for every degree. So I've picked out the degree where Mars was sitting at the 0 Aries point. And this is from James Burgess, who took the original material for the Sabian symbols and has embellished it. And he had, so the original Sabian symbol is this first line. A famous singer is proving her virtuosity during an operatic performance. And then these are James's words that follow after that. Being aware of the price of success and seeing that success and failure are simply emotional outpourings. So that is the symbology for where Mars was sitting at the time of the zodiac wheel being kicked into motion. Then I'm going to go on to the zodiac colors. So this is the zodiacal light. So you have the light from the planetary perspective. So if you imagine you're out in the galaxy and you're looking at the light from that perspective, that was the previous one. This is the perspective from Earth. So these are the zodiacal colors as opposed to the planetary colors. And the planetary colors that I use are those that were attributed by the ancient Greek polymath Pythagoras, known as the father of mathematics, the father of music, and the father of geometry. And these, as I say, this is the geometry that sits at the heart of every chart. And you can pause and read the other symbols for the other constituents that are in the conversation with Mars. Venus is at the bottom here because Venus and I think it was Saturn. Let me go back one. Yes, I've got it here. Sorry, Chiron and Venus are exactly parallel, well, almost exactly parallel. That's why Venus is there. That's really a note for those astrologers that are watching this. Yeah, so you can pause this and read in full the symbols for each of the placements. I'm just going to point out this one because I'm going to refer to it later on, the one for Saturn. On a small island surrounded by the vast expanse of the sea, people are seen living in close interaction. So just pop that in your top pocket to remember later on when I'm going to refer back to it. And then this is the zodiacal and the planetary light song. So I apply the Hermetic principle of correspondence, which people know in its short form as above, so below, as within, so without. And that's how the light song comes about, the conversation and then applying the Hermetic principle of correspondence. And there's both together, where I put the two together and do an animated version as well to show the full light song of above and below. So that's the light song part of it. Sorry it was a lot longer than Ant's, beautiful narrative of his his depiction for the Two of Wands. And now I'm going to quickly touch on a bit more about tarot and zodiac. So we have we've got another layer of I guess mirroring, where we have the 4 suits, which are actually the 4 elements, and the 4 elements are in the zodiac as well. So I've color-coded the 4 elements. So Aries is fire, Taurus is earth, Gemini is air, Cancer is water, and so on and so forth around the zodiac wheel. The decans originally, coming back to this notion that the original way we told time was by a relationship with the living sky and with the stars, where we used to watch the stars and where they rose and when they rose to know when we were in the year. So the decans were originally asterisms or star clusters that the ancient Egyptians would look for them rising before the sun to know, for example, Sirius rising before the sun around the beginning of the Egyptian year, which was when the Nile would flood. But the Nile is actually correctly pronounced the Nile, by the way. And I learned that from when I was in Egypt, in Cairo. It's pronounced Nile. So the Nile would flood every year when Sirius would rise, the dog star. And that would be the signal of the start of the year. And then from there on in, they would look for different stars throughout the year when they were rising to know when they were in the year. That is no longer the case. The Decan star correspondences are lost in time, and it's now this, slice of 10 that is now the Decan. So I'm just making a footnote there that there's the original link to telling time by watching the stars is no longer part of the Decan application as we apply it in modern astrology. Yeah. So even though the decans are not related directly to the stars anymore, I did look to see what stars or star that Mars was close to in the sky. So this is where we connect to the living sky. And Mars is actually conjunct or joined with Castor, the star of one of the twins in Gemini. And then I looked at, oh, okay, this is really interesting because this has a correspondence with the Two of Wands, interestingly enough. The ruler of the Two of Wands, which is Mars, at the point of the beginning of the decan for the Two of Wands is Castor, the fixed star, one of the twins, so twin, Two of Wands. Also, the twins were known or considered patrons of sailors and warriors. Well, when you look at the Two of Wands, there's a man there looking over the ocean. It's always over the sea. It's not over a river. It's always over the sea. Sailors. And Mars is the planet that is the warrior. It's a warrior archetype. And then we have the twins also. They went on that expedition with Jason and the Argonauts. And that's a journey over water. I love this when you go looking for echoes or resonance. And this is definitely resonant with the Two of Wands as a card. Isn't that cool? What do you make of that, Ant?
That is very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah. And it's like, I love the way that the reason for the energy of Gemini at the bottom there. As Zeus was asked to make his brother immortal, kind of depicts as well the Gemini nature of two-sidedness, the two different aspects of Gemini that make up the one, which explains why they're such diverse characters. Very interesting. Very interesting.
So when we talk about decans, and it is a subdivision of zodiac, the zodiac sign covers 30 days. Decans subdivide that into three sections of 10 days. Ant, for example, was born in the first decan of Aquarius, which makes him an Aquarius because it's the first segment. So that is the Aquarian segment of Aquarius. When you go to the second decan, which is when I was born, that's the Gemini segment because that's the next air sign. So the second decan of Aquarius is the Gemini Aquarius decan. And the third decan is then the third air sign, the Libran Aquarius decan. When I discovered this, it's like, oh my gosh, no wonder I have so much Gemini, because Gemini, I don't actually have much there at all. The only thing I have in Gemini is Black Moon Lilith. It's not a physical object, it's a point. I don't have any physical objects in Gemini. And I couldn't understand how come I've got because this curiosity and all these other things, they're very Gemini. They're not so much Aquarius. It's very Gemini. It was a revelation to me. Oh, no wonder. My sun and my rising are Aquarius Gemini. My Mercury is actually Aquarius like yours, Ant. Okay, this is our Two of Wands card, which will be updated with Ant's finished artwork, but it's complete enough for the purposes of this episode for you to get the idea of what the card will look like. So we have the Earth LightSong at the bottom and the Heavens LightSong at the top, and then the beautiful artwork in the middle. And the wands, the shillelagh wands, are filled with the LightSong. And I'm now going to touch on the typical meanings that are given for this card, and then I'm going to ask Ant how he experienced this decan in real time from the 20th of March to the 30th of March, and then I'm going to share how I experienced it. First, I'm going to skip through very quickly what's written. the Waite Smith write-up. Most often the Two of Wands means courage and daring. It has the message of striking out on a journey or new path. And then it talks about the actual image, a wealthy noble looking out at his territory, holding the world in his hands. And I guess coming back to what Ant was talking about, this symbol of power is really, I guess, Ant, what you're saying is more about personal sovereignty power.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. And then the next one I'm going to share is this is the tarot deck that I use and have. And it made me giggle when I read these like 3 points that it had for the meaning. So the energy and potential of a partnership, allowing the relationship between two ideas, projects, or feelings to unfold and open up new areas of possibility. And you may be searching for deeper meaning or contemplating a journey. So over to you, Ant. How did you experience the Two of Wands? And did you notice the Two of Wands in the period from the 20th of March to the 30th of March this year?
I did, Leanne. Yeah, it really was the basis of our collaboration, really. I'm a person that has so many dreams, so many visions of what I want to do. And the only contemplation was, what can I put in the card? What can I leave out? How do I express what I want to express? Definitely this card to me represents what we're doing, our collaboration, our moving forward with it. And we couldn't have started with a better card. Obviously, it's aligned that way as such, you know, speaks for itself, doesn't it?
When I saw this, I'm going, oh my God. So this is like, we are the poster children for this card. I just wanted to add in here that me personally, my solar return this year is Leo rising, which means that the sun is my guide for this year. The Decan walk is walking with the sun, because it's the sun's movement every day, 1 degree a day, you know, 1 day at a time through the zodiac. It means from the last time I did a Decan walk, which is when the sun was my guide for my perfection year. And don't worry if you don't know what that is. Astrologers know what I'm talking about. So I had a Leo perfection year a couple of years ago, and that was my first Decan walk that I did. And I found that I was pretty much living the 36 cards. And here we are, it's happening again.
And it's only just begun.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I'm glad you started singing, because I believe that's where we've got to. Would you like to share your song first? The question I asked you, Ant, and I'm going to answer this question as well. What song do you choose to represent the Two of Wands, and why?
Okay, so I changed my mind right at the last minute. I was going with The Doors, Break On Through, because it literally resembled breaking through into a new kind of consciousness, if you like, space. But then, I mean, I love Jim Morrison's music, his poetry, and The Doors as their energy, etc. But then I came across Kael, spelled Kael, who is an artist who his music is soulful, it's transformative. And the song that I was I heard was a song called "Keep Moving Forward," and the lyrics of the first, the intro and the first verse, if you like, were sung to me far more than any other song had for this particular card. You know me, Leanne, I'm a bit flamboyant, I'm a bit out there. I like to sing, I like to be a little bit diverse and different. So I'm just going to sing you the first verse. In the face of challenges, we rise and we fight. Through the darkest moments, we shine our light. Every scar and stumble, a story to be told. In the journey of our life, we're brave and bold. And the reason I chose that is because it's coming from a perspective of it actually being done in the now. And he's speaking of, this is what we do, not what we can do, but this is what we do to achieve. For example, in the face of challenges, we rise and we fight. Now, we don't all do that. We don't all rise and fight to a challenge. Majority of us slump and become victim to our challenges and pains. But he's speaking from a perspective of, no, 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 no. We face the challenges. Rather, in the face of challenges, we stand and we fight those. And that kind of energy goes through the whole verse of, through the darkness moments, we shine our light. But generally in life, we don't. We slum down into our depression and our victim mentality. Just the way he portrays his lyrics is as though, okay, there is no more of that. This is the new way. We do this. We are doing this. We are in the now. So that is the reason why I chose this song. And it's a beautiful song. And if anyone wants to go and listen to it, it's called Keep Moving Forward by KL. K-A-E-L.
Well, I'll definitely include the link to the songs that we've chosen in the video description so people can go and check them out. Yeah. Thank you for that. And thank you for singing the song.
You might get that every session, Leanne.
That'd be great. That'd be great. I'm going to share my screen again. This is part of why I pointed out the Sabian symbol for Saturn, because the song I chose is one from Fat Freddy's Drop, who are a Kiwi band, and this is the cover artwork for this is their first album, and it pretty much epitomizes or is a picture of that Saturn symbol where, you know what, I'm going to go back to where it was. There we go. On a small island surrounded by the vast expanse of sea, people are seen living in close interaction. Well, they're not on a small island, but they're pretty much on a small boat in close interaction. There seems to be a piano on the end of the, oh no, that's an outboard motor. Okay, yeah. This song, because it's not really sung, it's kind of said, and it's the intro to, like Ants, it's the same, it's the intro to the song. So I'm going to attempt it, and if it doesn't work out, I'm going to cut this out. When I wanna see right through you, flying high in Freddy voodoo, lucid dreaming, magic wonder. Can you see this spell I'm under? Make you wander with that rhythm. Feel it moving through your system. Step on steppers, step up to it. All you gotta do is do it, yeah, yeah. And then it goes into the whole song. So basically, this is like, for me, when I look at the Two of Wands, it's like that decision point where you decide to go for it. You survey the surroundings, the environment, and you back yourself, and you decide to, like it says, make you wander with that rhythm, feel it moving through your system, step up and do it, you know? That's why I chose this song. So I'm not sure I did it justice. Dan, did you listen to it, and do you think you'd want to give it a go to try and sing it? You'd do a better job than me, I feel.
You covered it all. What I did notice though is make you wander with that rhythm.
And the song is called Wandering Eye, which when you look at the traditional Two of Wands, the guy is, his eye is wandering, wandering over the landscape. So we've reached the end of this episode. We have talked about how the project came about, how we met, our artworks, and our song choice. And the invitation is there for the viewers, you who's watching. What would your song be to represent the Two of Wands? Please share it with us. This is about, you know, having a dialogue with people. It's not about us, just us two, you know, going on this journey, just us two. It's about bringing people with us. And also share, if you feel so called, how you experience the Two of Wands and, you know, that period in time, and whether you noticed a parallel with the themes that are for the Two of Wands, like we have in starting this project. We will also be putting out our artwork for the Two of Wands, available as an art print and also on a t-shirt. And I will share, I'll be sure to include details of that in the description for this video. It may be that the art prints are available first and then the teas will follow on afterwards, but I will update the description as soon as the teas become available. Thank you for joining us. Anything you want to say, Ant, before we close?
Thank you to anyone who's watching, and specifically thank you to you, Leanne. It's been lovely. I can't wait for the next session.
Okay, great. Okay, on that note, thank you, and see you for the next episode. From my heart's light to yours. Bye for now.